So this video is either going to be extremely important one day in the near future, or it's going to be not important, complete garbage if it doesn't come true. For years, I mean years, going back to as far as even 2009, which is when I got one of the big WebBot reports, back when they used to be really large, like a few hundred pages, anywhere between 100 and something to 200 plus pages. And that's when I really first heard about the global coastal event, as far as reading it in a WebBot report. And even in the writing then, which I just refreshed my memory by reading some of it, by the way, he gave his little disclaimer of, we may not get this right now. This has been in the data for years, but here's what it looks like, maybe coming, And when you read it, you can think of a number of things. Maybe something smashes into the ocean, causes the global coastal floodings. Maybe it's an earthquake. Maybe it's volcanic activity under the oceans that are, again, spewing out magma, which, of course, becomes solid and hard, which means the water around it has to get dispersed. Number of reasons. For me, and hopefully most people, who cares about what it is that causes it? But what are you going to do about it, and what are you going to do with the information if you know the coastal areas are going to flood? Is more important. But sure, I'd like to know exactly what. So it was a little bit earlier this year, not that awfully long ago, but definitely in 2012, and I think it was just a few months ago. I heard Cliff High, who is the owner of the WebBot, said that he contacted Courtney Brown of the Farsight Institute, and I believe that is farsight.org. If you want to read about it, as a matter of fact, Farsight. Yeah, farsight.org, farsight.org, and you will come across some of the PDF files that they did back. It was in, I think, early 2008 or even prior, I don't remember, where they did remote viewing of June 2008 and June 2013, which is what I'm going to be discussing today, because when you combine what they remote viewed for 2013, June, and that was just the target date. That doesn't mean this is going to happen in June. It can happen before June, and most likely before June sometime, but either at the end of winter or right after winter. Long story short is that it goes hand in hand with the WebBot's global coastal event. And when you combine the two, I think we have an answer now of what the global coastal event, at least partially, will consist of, which is enough for me to want to get out of Florida anyways. But I remember, again, back to Cliff High a few months ago, he said he contacted Courtney Brown and asked Courtney Brown if he, Cliff High, could do a remote viewing session with Courtney Brown's group of remote viewers, except basically Cliff be the boss, so to speak, just to validate in his own mind and to help, and anyone who else was willing to listen to him tell you what the results were, that purpose. So Courtney Brown said, yeah, okay. And Cliff High decided to make up a completely fake target in his mind, and that was going to be the target he wanted these people to remote view. The reason he made up a completely fake target was actually genius, to be honest with you. And here's the reason: so that nobody, even by the smallest, tiniest chance, could ever guess and happen to guess where he picked. If it was a place somewhere on planet Earth, obviously, there could be a chance that they guessed where he was talking about. So rather than do that, he told himself, I'll just make up something, a fake target, and see if they can remote view it. They absolutely did, and they absolutely nailed his fake target. That blew him away and gave him all the validity he needed into Courtney Brown and his group of remote viewers. Having said that, he then went ahead and reread what Courtney Brown's remote viewing sessions were, which are public information right on his website, which is what I'm fixing to read you, and how it, for Cliff High, ties into his global coastal event. He now thinks this event will be here before June of 2013. Again, maybe it won't happen. Maybe we'll all be lucky, and I'll tell you what, as many times as I've seen the WebBot miss things, I hope this is one of them. I don't believe it is. Number one, it's been in the data for years and years and years, and anything in the WebBot data for years and years and years is a done deal. It's going to happen. So I do have to, accept that fact that that's the way it's been so far. So having said that, I want to read you the latest WebBot report, which was, again, matter of fact, let me give you the exact date that I've got this file, the WebBot file. And that would be November 6th. Well, that's when I copied it over here to my computer. Yeah, that was like earlier this month that I copied it, but I think it was from October, to tell you the truth. Let me see if it says it in the actual file. Yeah, way past that. September 30th, 2012. I just copied it from my work computer to my computer here, so the date modified is different, obviously. So September 31st or 30th, whatever, 2012 is what I'm fixing to read you, specifically on the WebBot's global coastal event. And then I'm going to talk to you about and read you basically word for word what the Courtney Brown's group found. And again, I'll link to a site, and you can download the stuff yourself if you want to see his PDF files. But here's the latest WebBot report from a couple months ago. What about the global coastal event in the Northern Hemisphere in 2013? Question mark. At the primary level of support within the global coastal event lexical set across all entities, the data provides turning point for humanity / Terra. The Terra entity has growing sets in support of the global coastal event that are supporting the primary descriptor of the set, which is impacting the mountains. This set has multiple supporting sets for winds that will be exceptional by any measure. This last can also be interpreted as being outside or beyond any previous range or measurement, or in other words, very big, damn, powerful, whatever, winds. These exceptional winds are described as originating in the south and being propelled toward the Arctic. There are also repeated sets of descriptors within the details that reference large mountains that will turn the winds such that new currents or jet streams are created. This area suggests that the inland inhabitants will be able to blame coastal mountain ranges for their wind's misery. There are supporting sets within the Terra entity that are going to the idea of the first impression, up here in the Northern Hemisphere anyways, of the global coastal event will be when the elements, such as clouds and or chemtrails, whatever, things in the sky, are seen to disperse in fluttering chaos. The winds from the south are described as shattering the clouds / chemtrails in an energetic way. These sets, in their totality, are describing a kind of air tsunami that ripples around the planet from the south. The data sets suggest that this energetic air dispersion wave arrives at the Alaska side of the Arctic faster than the Greenland side. This would indicate the energy wave originates from the Pacific Basin. Now, having said that, you're talking a force of wind or whatever, powerful enough to just throw the clouds and disperse them like they're nothing. And knowing that I've already read what Farsight.org or Courtney Brown and his remote viewers talked about, or their results in the remote viewing sessions, in my opinion, and same with Cliff High, and same with Courtney Brown, it appears that there's an impact of massive proportions somewhere in the ocean. Maybe it's a comet. Is it a nuclear bomb? Sure, it could be possible, but this appears to be like a comet, or not a comet, but a meteor or something like that, slamming down. Knowing that, when I hear this thing about these clouds just being thrown around and moved out of the way like nothing with pressure so immense to just disperse them, to me, that's what I would expect of like a big impact of like a meteor or something, a large one. That would move that. Same thing with a nuclear bomb going off. It would do the same. So keep that in mind as I'm reading this, that may be what we're talking about. Within the descriptors of the winds are data sets indicating that the quality of the air is such that it induces or causes all manner of mental illness, including discontent within one's body and frustrations and neurosis. Noting that our data sets are overwhelmed with the immediacy data type, and that almost all of the global coastal event data is within the now rare shorter and longer term sets, it is interesting to find that as model space has progressed from December 2012 through June 2013, the global coastal event data sets gain new sets that describe foaming creeks and rivers that will be flowing backwards as water rushes up their channels, as well as sudden eruptions of springs or artesian wells. This last is a temporal marker that apparently in some areas arrives a few days before the excessive flooding comes. The excessive flooding set is very complex. It is a large, growing and continues to grow throughout the entire movement of model space from April 2013 onwards over the next 19 months. The accretion pattern alone suggests that the water component of the global coastal event is a multiple year process. Further, the descriptors for the springs/artesian wells erupting provides a view of Old Faithful like wells shooting out all over the place or on the planet as a direct result of internal pressures. Again, if this was a meteor impact or something like that in the ocean, that could absolutely cause water to come in and flow, make rivers and creeks and everything flow upwards, as well as push that water the opposite way it's been going, causing wells and things to blow water out of them. That makes sense to me. Does that mean it'll be what it is? No, but it sure as hell makes sense to me. And again, do I really care if it's a meteor that hit it or a nuclear bomb that went off or something else, massive 10.0 earthquake that caused the water, plates to crack and water to fly everywhere? Honestly, no. All I'm concerned about is what is the effect on me, humanity, lives, etc. And do I want to be in a city when this happens, etc. In general, these erupting springs are a temporal feature, though many are described as persisting for centuries. As the excessive flooding set gained supporting detail sets, it became apparent that this set is referring to the coastal and river impacts and not the airborne/rain carried flooding and debris types. So clearly coastal, rivers, on the ground, water that's already there, not rain, not storms, etc. The data sets do show that in some areas of the interior of the northern hemisphere continents, North America, Europe, Siberia, China, India, Greater Southeast Asia, these two effects will combine to cause true water hell. These data sets describe very large debris fields caused as heavy rains sweep down the mountains to actually scrub away and disintegrate, turn to rubble, the signs of civilization. The data sets have a distressing number of details about civilization rubble being buried under mud that then bakes in the heat of the sun later, or being swept into new rivers and out to frothing seas. Other excessive flooding sets include language about the first flexing/distortion that will actually initiate the excessive flooding sometime, perhaps weeks, months, not sure, before the rivers froth and seas foam in the form of dam collapses due to earthquakes. These data sets in some areas are seemingly pointing to a near-time occurrence, which is to say some form of violent shock that will be part of the global coastal event that will trigger earthquakes in all continents. In some cases, these earthquakes are described as crumbling dams and causing excessive flooding down channel. Again, big meteor impact in the ocean, slamming into maybe even going past the water and hitting the ground under the ocean. I don't know. Either way, if it doesn't, the force of that, again, this is telling me something big is going to hit, and it's going to cause earthquakes like that. So that's what I'm focused on right now. And again, being on a Florida, which is surrounded by coastal area, and only two ways out, basically two interstate systems on the way out, not the kind of place I want to be, especially on the coast side of Florida, which I'm not. I mean, I'm kind of on the west coast, so if anywhere, that'd be a little safer than anywhere else than like the east coast. But as you already know, I'm heading to Tennessee. So now, after reading that to you, keeping all that in mind, I'm going to now read the Courtney Brown remote viewing session. It's 17 pages, but there's a lot of info in here you don't even need to know about. Again, I'll link to the site. You can find it yourself. Now, this particular PDF file I'm reading is, I believe, the one that was on Cape Canaveral, Florida, where they remote viewed Cape Canaveral, basically Kennedy Space Center area. Remote viewed that. They also remote viewed Washington, D.C., several places, but the one I was focused on in this one was the one in Florida, East Coast, Cape Canaveral. It is this guy, Dick, is his first name. It says Dick, HRVG Key West 2013 timeline. Which I thought this was Cape Canaveral. Maybe this was Key West. Either way, Florida coast. Here we go. They have these columns: sights, sounds, smells, temps or temperatures, textures, and then P. I'm not sure what P is. So they're describing, and again, you can look at what they remote viewed in 2008, and then the same exact setting. All they did different was go to 2013, and it's night and day with what they described as far as, again, sight, sound, smell, taste, temperature, textures, what's going on. Totally different. So sounds, friction, sounds, rubbing, rasping. Smells is musty, damp smells. Temperature is cool. Texture, soft like moss or lichen. These pictures just looks like people working, holding something, maybe sawing on wood. Nothing really out of the ordinary yet. Voices speak loud. Sweat, man not bathed type of smell. Temperature, again, is cool. Textures, ragged cloth. Or ragged looks like cloth. People walking, clip clop, footsteps. Fresh, smells again is fresh cut wood. Temperature, still cool. Textures are hard. Blank, blank, coal. Cold again. Stone masonry. As far as textures. Some men carrying, holding. Talking is the sights and sounds. Human sweat is the smell. Now the temperature is warm. Texture is rough wood. Activity on levels. So people are on different levels of something, working on something. Thump, thwop is a sound. Wood working smells. Warm temperature, fine like sawdust. Many people watch. Many watch, it says. Like sounds like whip crack. Leather, cold temperature, wood planking. End of that one. Next one. Sights, impact. Whack, thwap, crack. Smells like cheese. Temperature, warm. Texture, shattered. Something struck and breaks. Impact, like hot. Burnt, charred. Radiates, pent up heat. Cracked, fused. This has been altered by forceful impact. More scribbling of an impact. Crackling, no smell. Temperature is now hot. Not cool and not warm. It is hot. Texture, wind swept. So we have hot temperature and wind being swept. Again, I'm thinking of WebBot stuff. Land outside. People seeking shelter. Yelling, sounds, yelling. Smells is heat. So the actual smell is heat. Temperature, very warm. Texture, feel air pressure, heat pressure. People want to get away from this. That's what it says. Energy coming in towards the people is a picture, a very crude picture. Bubbling, boiling, gas, sulfur, temperature, hot, large area, large energy radiates. Picture of, again, these are all very crude pictures, scribbling. People fleeing, groups of people fleeing. Crunching like footsteps on glass is the sound. Temperature is warm. Matted air. Crusty hair. Okay, matted hair. Matted hair, crusty hair, dried blood. People run to flee sense of head trauma. Next one. I don't know what this is. It says S2 FOMS, PHOMCS. I don't know what that means. He's got these little descriptors: A, E, L, O, and U. A, I'll just read them down. Fable, aspirate, escape, energy, envelope, steam. innate, incision, tiring, impact, outside, outpouring, holocaust, hombre. Hombre as in man, like Spanish man, hombre. Pervian, tuple, tundra, torslin. Free space is envision, eviscerate, evil, feathers, fulminate. Interesting. Now there's some pictures here. Humans working different on different levels. Again, that picture, thump, thump, thump. Structure is stone, masonry, energy, impact, cracks and altars, sizzles, charge, heat, hot. It shows something coming in, scribbled down like an arrow, and then splashing down into something. Yelling, flee, humans, footsteps, crunch. Energy, structure, life, vegetation, low. Life, human, molt, 2, M-U-L-T, and then the number 2. Life, other, is nothing, blank. I don't know what that means. The blackboard, it says, it's written on here. Blackboard, barren, cratered, colorless, seared, old, quiet, smells like something burned long ago, inhospitable. Next blackboard. Weathered, chipped, and falling. People are entombed, but not something bad, proper or propo, something burial befell, some kind of burial befell this place. People are entombed, but not something bad, probably something burial befell this place. Let me go back to the WebBot for a second, if you don't mind. The data sets, this is the last part of the WebBot report I read you. The data sets have a distressing number of details about civilization rubble being buried under mud that then bakes in the heat of the sun later, or being swept into new rivers and out into frothing seas. Interesting. Back to the Courtney Braun remote viewing. Something bad, propo burial befell this place. Erosion. Structure 1 has a look and feel of old ruins, crumbling columns, gray. Chink, chink, dusty and old, like Roman or Greek ruins. Stop. Has catacombs with water. Blackboard. Energy. Kinetic becomes thermal. Kinetic energy becomes thermal. Boom, like thunder. Smell heat. Feel pressure. 100,000 tons. Ignites. Next blackboard. These folks have big work, but only human labor. Not machines. Maybe pulleys, block and tackle, ropes used. Life, human, much activity, chip, chip, hit, hit, works, the type of sounds you would, manual labor sounds. Dust, sweat, workers, tough, strong, long, hard work. And let me read that first one again. These folks have big work, but only human labor, not machines, maybe pulleys, block and tackle, ropes being used. Interesting. Again, prior WebBot stuff. One of the big topics that didn't have a whole lot to say other than the title said it all. Humanity brought back to a previous age. I think I know where that's coming from now. Blackboard again, another one. Warnings, urgent. In non-English language, look out, you fool, mother of God. Feels Slavic, ruined nation. Feels Slavic. Look out, you fool, mother of God. Exclamation point. Life, human, caught off guard. Seem caught unprepared. Yelling, screams, blood, sweat, mucus, pain. I like that unprepared statement. You know who that's going to be. It's not going to be me, and I hope it's not going to be you because you've been paying attention to me. Blackboard, land. It's just a scribbling of something I can't even make out if I tried to. Structure 1 almost reminds me of, again, like Greek ruins or something like that. And then blackboard, the energy one. Arcing trajectory from way up high in the sky. Boom, impact. Secondary waves of energy radiate. Seems to ignite. Kinetic energy transformed into thermal energy. So this thing, whatever it is that it impacts, and it looks like the ocean, but it may not. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's on land somewhere. I don't know. Secondary waves of energy radiate, seems to ignite. Kinetic energy transformed into thermal energy. That is what I'm thinking would move those clouds. Just boom, see ya, gone. And cause some incredible winds. Blackboard, human life, human. Human activity, labor, pulling lines, lifting. Like tug of war, but all pulling same direction. Like some primitive manpower, big project. Carry, lift, haul by hand. Next blackboard, human. Urge to flee. Urged to flee. Energy surprises humans. They feel exposed, caught out in open. There is unexpected energy here that radiates. Some are knocked down. Some humans are knocked down. Next, edging. In edging, I got a sense of food preparation. I don't know what edging is. It's some kind of term for this remote viewing session, so I'll tell you that right off the bat. So, title is edging. And then it says, in edging, I got it. And this is the guy who remote viewed this. This whole thing is him, by the way. In edging, I got a sense of food preparation. Let me stop right now. I haven't made a video in a long time, especially to all my new subscribers, to urge you to get the 3 basic things that you, in my eyes, basic things you need. Some silver, absolutely, bullion, silver bullion. Food storage, and I'm not talking, sure, canned goods are nice and that'll work, but you can go to the company, I think it's called Thrive, and they have a thing on their website where you can go in and buy monthly from them, or you can do a bulk order, etc. And then it's freeze-dried and or dehydrated foods. Get you at least a few months' supply, for God's sakes. So silver, food, dehydrated, etc., if possible, and or canned goods, if worst case, or both. And of course, you're going to need a weapon, gun. I'm talking pure protection to keep people from harming you, etc., in this kind of crisis situation. That's it. Now let me read this. Edging. In edging, I got a sense of food preparation. Primitive and unappealing, some kind of grain mashed into gravel with mortar and pestle, boiled in something, he says in parentheses, they may not have metal. Plants like weeds are gathered and added. It seems not very appetizing. They roast meat, whatever small game they can find and obtain, over a smoky fire. And he's got a little picture of what he sees, which is what I just described. Grain smashed with stone pestle, gathering things like dandelion grains added to gruel. I don't even know what he's spelling here. Gruel, maybe gruel. Small animal roasted on spit, like, the old school fire where you got the thing, little bar going across, and it's, you spin it every few minutes, whatever, that kind of thing. So and that's the end of this that I want to, that's it. That's all I got for you on this. So here is what the remote viewing is seeing. And this, in particular, is what they saw in Florida. And if they see this in Florida, it appears to me that help isn't coming. The government's not coming. No one's coming to help. That's one thing. Number 2, it's all manual labor. There are no machines. There are no cars. There are no tractors. There are obviously no electricity. These people are, again, primitive, is what he said. And that's exactly my sense of, again, reading this and including what the WebBot's saying, being brought back to a previous age for humanity, etc. You can forget machinery. No one's using machinery. It's all hand. Again, sweat, smelling of non-deodorant wearing human beings, musty, sweaty people. No deodorant, just people working and sweating. Block and pulleys and tackle is what they're using. They're cooking a meal with basically rodents, whether that's rats or rabbits or squirrels, obviously. And then to add a little bonus to their beautiful dinner, they're going and chopping up greens and weeds and dandelions or something to throw in there as a little stew. You know, give it a little bonus green whatever for you. Keep your body a little healthy. So this tells me, and again, I'm not saying I'm right, but this tells me a meteor or something's going to slam into the earth, and or whether that's land or water, doesn't matter, somewhere. It's going to cause a global coastal massive problem. People on the globe in the coastal areas are going to be wiped out. And when you add up the fact that most of the population of the entire earth, human being population, I think it's like 75 or maybe it's 80%, live within a certain number of miles of the coast or on the coast. Those are the people that are going to suffer, obviously, the most. Now, having said that, if this were to happen, you would have no time to really get out. As fast as it would be coming, and let's say it was way out in the middle of the ocean and there's some kind of wave coming, you know, whether it's an air charge or tidal wave or both, and they're coming at, 500-600 miles an hour. You may only have 2 or 3 hours to do something. And if you're hearing about it, you have 2 to 3 hours. And again, let's just use just the state of Florida. Forget Georgia, the whole east coast of the United States. Forget all that. Because all those people are going to get on the interstates too and flee inland, which is going to cause people from Florida going up and trying to go somewhere, even more congestion on the interstate system and roadways. In my setup, my situation, if that happened today, I wouldn't even attempt, would not even try to get on the roads and head anywhere. I would be hunkered down right here in my house. Again, I've got my food. I got everything I need here for months and months and months until all this crap died down. Anyways, if that happened in Florida, there's only really 2 ways out, 2 interstates, I-95 and I-75. And for me, it'd be I-75. Sure, you can get off on like Highway 301 or one of these little highways and try to make it up there. But trust me, you're not the only bozo who would think the same thing, and there'd be backups, pileups, etc. I remember specifically in an older WebBot report, Cliff High talking about when this event happened, whatever it was, people would be fleeing on the interstates. It would be an absolute parking lot for days and days and days, and people would be dying trying to flee on the interstates. They would be dying. Wasn't too specific of the reason why. Were they starving to death? Were they fighting and killing each other? Did they run out of gas somewhere in the middle of nowhere and everything was tapped out? Everyone already raided the grocery store? It did not say. Nor, again, does it matter because I wouldn't even attempt it. This is why I am trying to urgently get out of the city, get up to Tennessee as fast as humanly possible for me, which honestly, I should be able to pull this off and be out of Florida sometime in February. More than likely, the second half of February, the 15th or thereabouts. Anyways, I want to share this with you. Again, this could be the most important video on the face of the earth. If this happens, exactly how my thoughts about this are and based on my interpretation of this. Or this could be nothing more than an epic fail because absolutely nothing happens. But again, as long as I've been following the WebBot report or reports and knowing that things that are in the data for a long, long time and they keep showing up and they keep showing up and all the reports basically, those things are pretty much set in stone. They're going to happen. The timing could be off. We've definitely seen that before. But because of the remote viewing, how way more accurate as far as the timing is, and even in older times, they weren't as accurate, and they've admitted this. But it appeared that it was this coming year, 2013. Would I love for it to be 2014 or 2015 if this is going to happen? Absolutely. I'll be long gone out of Florida by then, completely set up, etc. I do not know. I just want to share this with you. That's all I got. Take it for what it is. If you want to take it with a grain of salt, so be it. It's up to you.